Hey guys, this is Matt NES. So stop me if you've heard this one before, but the very first video game system that I ever played as a kid was the NES, and my first game being Super Mario Bros. I know, shocking, right? And while I will finally start to admit that the system maybe has started to age a little bit over time, I still really like the system a lot, and I come back to it very often. So why don't we take a look at my top 10 favorite NES games of all time? Let's check it out. So to start off with, number 10. This is a game that I kind of went back and forth on. I was kind of thinking I wanted to put some type of single-screen arcade game that was really either best played or you could only really get on the NES. And I went back and forth between two titles. It was either Balloon Fight or another title. And Balloon Fight's great, but ultimately I think I'm wanting to give the slight edge to Popeye. Believe it or not, originally, the original Donkey Kong was supposed to be a Popeye game. Shigeru Miyamoto wanted to make a Popeye game for the longest time, but couldn't get the license. And when you look at the characters from Donkey Kong, you can kind of slot in the Popeye characters, and you can see how well that would actually work. But eventually, Shigeru Miyamoto finally did get a chance to make the Popeye game he's always wanted to make. This game is relatively simple. You play as Popeye, of course. Olive Oil is at the top of the screen throwing down different items, whether that be hearts or music notes or words that spell out "help me." And all the while you're trying to avoid various hazards, including Bluto, of course, while trying to collect these items that Olive Oil drops from the top of the screen before they hit the ground. Of course, you can also pick up spinach power-ups and become invincible for a short period of time. All the items on the screen freezes for a short bit, and you can actually go chase down Bluto and knock him out for extra points. Overall, it's a relatively simple but enjoyable game. And it's not really any kind of clone of any kind. You can't really say that it's like Pac-Man at all, or if it's like Galaga or any other popular games during the time. It's kind of its own thing, and that's one of the things that I really admire about this game. I used to rent this game a bunch when I was younger, and I still come back to this game like more often than I thought that I would. So yeah, this little gem right here actually is one of my favorite games on the NES to play. Go figure. So for number 9, we have Contra. This is definitely it's an NES staple. Like, you can't talk about the NES without referencing this game at all. You know, we all know the 30 live Contra code. You know, it's ingrained into our memory as gamers. It's a great co-op game. Like, what else can you say about Contra? It's greatness. One of the downfalls that I will say about this game is that there is quite the huge step up in difficulty if you're not wanting to use the Konami code. But, you know, I've definitely tried to do non-30 life runs before of this game, and I've gotten further than I thought that I ever would, but I've never actually full-on beat this game. And I will want to make this a goal at some point to beat Contra without using the 30 life code. Whenever I do try to introduce the NES to someone, and I want to pick out a co-op game for them, this is definitely the one that comes to mind the most. So, yeah, nothing else to really say about this. This game's amazing. It's timeless. It's just fantastic. I love it. When you think about shooters on the NES, what comes to mind? Things like 1943, Gradius, Life Force, even things like Stinger. But for my money, my favorite shooter on the system has to be Gyrus. Think of it like an extreme version of Galaga, where you can not only go left to right from the bottom of the screen, but you can rotate the entire screen like it was a tube or something like that. And there's boss fights and several different levels, different enemies, different power-ups. This game is just incredible. Like, I come back to this game more than any other shooter on the system. One of the downfalls of this game is, unfortunately, it's not co-op, but, like, if I ever have the need to play a simple space shooter, like, this is definitely the one that I will come back to the most. I definitely love the music in this game. It's definitely got that distinct NES Konami sound to the soundtrack. Like, it's hard to explain, but once you hear that music, it's just like, yeah, that's Konami as f***, bro. Unfortunately, this game is another one that I have yet to beat. It's quite hard. You know, you do rack up lives pretty easily in this game, and I have gotten pretty far. I've gotten to, like, you know, like level 20, 23 and stuff like that, but it gets rough, man. This game gets really, really hard, but you can progress in it really, really far, so you want to just, like, dust yourself off and try again. And I don't know, maybe I won't ever beat this game, but I will often come back and give it a try another day, for sure. And this game, it's just great. I love it. So for number 7, we're going to be talking about Mega Man, at least a couple times in this video. Yeah, don't worry guys, this entire list isn't dominated by Mega Man games, but I don't follow the whole one game per franchise rule like a lot of top 10 lists do, because I think that that's crap, honestly. But yeah, for number 7 we have Mega Man 4. This is definitely a game where I feel like Capcom finally got the formula exactly perfect when it comes to creating a Mega Man game. I would say that each one of the games in the series, 1, 2, and 3, each had their own kind of roughness when it comes to either graphical performance, when it comes to level design, when it comes to, you know, enemy behavior and stuff like that. Like, there was some kind of roughness before. This is the first game that I feel like finally polished everything right, and Capcom's like, yeah, we know how to make a game in this series. And a lot of people would say something like, you know, oh, these games are just kind of processed and churned out or whatever, but, like, at the same time, like, they're such high quality where I'd have to say something like, is that necessarily a bad thing? If they know how to get a recipe or a formula right and still have it be consistently good, like, that's ultimately a good thing, right? I think so. So yeah, this is the first game that introduced the charging Mega Buster shot. You know, a lot of other things were introduced into this game, like multiple paths, and they brought back the item system from Mega Man 2. And I think there's just a lot of things to really like about this game. This game definitely started the whole trend of, like, you know, oh, it was Dr. Wily all along sort of deal with, you know, introducing Dr. Cossack, like, oh, is this the new bad guy? No, it's still just Dr. Wily. Yeah, but overall, I just find myself coming back to this game way more than I thought I would than any other game in the series. So, yeah, Mega Man 4, this is a really good one, guys. Like, don't like sleep on this one. You know, don't skip over this one on the Mega Man Legacy Collection. Like, play this version. Play this game. It's good. It's good, guys. It's good. For number 6, we have the legendary Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! And this is the only version of this game. I denounce any other version of this game. Punch-Out! Featuring Mr. Dream? No. Put that crap in the garbage, man. Throw that crap away. Jesus Christ. No. This is the only version of Punch-Out! You should be playing. This game right here. That's right, this one. Nah, but with all seriousness, this game is just incredible. I don't really consider this much of a boxing game in general, where it comes down to just being like a reflex-based game. It's all about watching your opponent, seeing what they're doing, and then reacting to what they're doing afterwards. And just that simple interaction with this game makes this just so engaging, so polished, so good, and so deep. Like, I'm still finding out things about this game, like, 30 years later after its release that I didn't know about. But much like with Gyrus and Contra, I haven't fully beaten this game before. I've beat Super Macho Man and got the Champions title, but I've never beaten Mike Tyson before. Like, that is a challenge that I have yet to complete in my life. Although I haven't really sat down and, like, tried over and over again to really get better results. I just remember trying, like, a handful of times, and I was just like, nope, forget this. I beat Super Macho Man. I got the newspaper clip or whatever. I feel like I beat this game. Done. But no, I still want to try and beat this game fully at some point. As a part of my gamer's bucket list thing, I will beat Mike Tyson eventually. I'm gonna do it at some point. I promise. And that just shows how much replayability this game has. Like, finding out strategies on beating guys, like, even faster, finding out ways of, like, getting more star punches. you know, just learning all these different strategies. Like, you wouldn't think that there's so many, like, deep game mechanics in a game where you're busting up a bunch of goofy-looking, racial stereotype boxers, but, like, there is, and it's incredible. So yeah, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, number 6, definitely holds that place on this list. It's fantastic. I love it. So for number 5, you've all heard about this game in my last video. This is Metroid. I still think this is a fantastic game on the NES. Let me reiterate that. On the NES, when you're just comparing other games on the NES, I still think that this is a great game that holds up relatively well. It's still fun. It's still good to play. I don't feel like I've gotten quite that lost that other people have when playing this game. I still think this is a all-time classic game for the NES. You know, again, I feel like people crap on this game a little bit too hard for, you know, doing a certain things. Like, yes, like when you're doing some room transitions, some enemies can glitch out and hit you while you're doing a room transition. That sucks. But for me, it's like, it happens and then it's over and you're playing the rest of the game. It's not really like a deal breaker for me or whatever. I still think that there's so much good in this game, and it being the birth of the exploration-based 2D platformer, like, people need to give this game a little bit more props than they have been in recent years online. That's just my opinion. I still think this is, you know, a fantastic game. And I still come back to this game and play it often. And that's how I know that it holds up, because I can still pop this game in any day and enjoy playing it. So, yeah, it still remains as my number 5 NES game. So next up for number 4, we have another kind of controversial pick, but I'm gonna say it out right here. This is the only Zelda game on my list, and I think Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, is my personal favorite game on the system. There's a wide variety of things in this game that we really haven't seen in other Zelda games since this game was released. Things like experience points and level ups, things like a wide variety of spells, things like 2D side-scrolling. And I like the fact that this game is tough, you know, like getting through a really tough dungeon and stuff like that, like going into a room and seeing, like, you know, a couple iron knuckles that you have to face down, and it's just like, oh boy, here we go, and knowing that you can best them and, you know, keep going forward is just like, you know, it gives you a little bit of a rush, man. It's great. Tough but fair is a really good way to describe Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. I think this is a criminally underrated game. I think it's gotten a really bad rap, and I think if you have only heard things about this game, maybe give this game a shot, and I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I would love to see an updated version of this gameplay style for Zelda, just to shake up the franchise a little bit. And yeah, this sits as a solid number 4 for me on my list. Ooh, we're getting into the top 3 category here. So I think I just want to give this one to Castlevania 1. And really, like, the only thing that I can say about this game is to, like, agree what Aaron Hansen said in his Sequelitis video about this game. It's short, sweet, and to the point. It's got a really tough difficulty. Like, this is a tough game, but it's short, it's to the point, and it's got great music, great visuals, great enemies, great bosses, and it's just a nice, simple little package. I had this game as a kid, and it took me roughly 25 years, not constantly playing, but coming back to this game over the years, like 25 years to finally beat this game. And, like, to have such a rewarding experience with this game, like, it's something else, man. You know, even though this game is only 6 stages long and it has only 6 bosses, like, it's still incredibly replayable. Like, it's not even really that describable of why it's replayable. It's a combination of all the things that I listed before, like the music, the enemies, the feel of the game. It's just a game that I can come back to any point in my life and still just have a good time trying to beat this game in one sitting. And yeah, something like Castlevania 3 has more stuff, like branching paths, more levels, you know, a password system, you know, multiple characters and stuff like that. Like, that's all fine and good, but there's something to be said about this game, about how simple it is and how just, like, well-designed those 6 levels are, and how well-designed the 6 bosses that you fight against are. This is still my number 3, and I could pop this game in any day and have a great time with it. Number 2 is a game that I feel like needs no introduction. Super Mario Bros. 3. This is a game that shaped an entire generation of gamers. This is a game that was a cultural phenomenon. This game got its own movie commercial in The Wizard. Like, people made a movie in order to advertise this game. This is how big of a deal Super Mario Bros. 3 was. This is definitely a game that people gives the proper respect to online even today. People still say that this is one of the best Mario games of all time, if not one of the best platformers of all time. The level design, the power-ups, the music, the look of this game is just so iconic and is referenced so much in gaming culture. It's unbelievable, man. When it comes to this particular version of Mario 3, there is a slight flaw in the sense that I feel like that this game is a little bit too long for it to not have either a password or save feature to come back to it another day, but like, that's just kind of splitting hairs, man. Like, I still feel like that this game is damn near flawless. Like, this is the closest that you can get to a perfect game, in my opinion. I mean, I have circumvented that issue with using the warp whistles, but, like, it's right on the cusp of, like, you know, saying that that's kind of cheating. Like, is it cheating? Is it not? Like, in the sense it is, but I feel like it also isn't in the case of using them, because you can't save your items, you can't save your item boxes and stuff. So when you use those warp whistles, you're kind of like wiping that slate clean. And in the later levels, you really need those power-ups. So is it cheating? Is it not? I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. But overall, like, this game is just really fucking good, guys. It's great. I can't sing its praises high enough. It's my number 2 on this list for a reason. And it's even in my top 10 favorite games of all time. Including the next game on this list. So, this isn't just my number 1 game on the NES. Guys, this is my favorite game of all time. This game has such a close connection to me. You know, I remember seeing my brother play the original Mega Man on his NES, and I thought to myself, oh wow, that's like Super Mario Bros., but you get to have the Fire Flower the whole time. That's amazing. And when I was 5, I saw a commercial. I must have saw a weird-ass commercial for Mega Man 3, and I actually looked this up on YouTube, and it was just like the culmination of like, wow, 90s radicalness, and it barely showed any gameplay, but it was a commercial for Mega Man 3. And that's how I knew of its existence, and it was the very first game that I remember asking my parents that I want for myself for my NES. And ever since I opened up this game on Christmas of 1990, like, I've kept coming back to this game and beating it over and over and over again and never getting tired of it. I remember I used to make it a tradition to play this game every year on my birthday from beginning to end. Like, and that's one of the things that's great about this game. It's just long enough to have a nice, satisfying gaming session, but just short enough to where you can comfortably finish this game in one sitting. This is my game, you guys. Like, I can't express how much love I have towards this game. I could seriously sit here and gush about how much I love this game for an entire video. Like, no joke. Like, I could sit here maybe even for like an hour or something of like talking about like why I feel like this game is so amazing. And yes, I know that there's some technical shortcoming. There's like some really bad sprite flickering in a couple levels, but dude, I don't fucking care, man. This game is... I just have so much love for this game, and I'm still not tired of playing it. I can literally play this anytime and just have an amazing time with it. So there could be no other game on this list that I could put at number 1 than this game right here. So yeah, guys, that was my top 10 NES games of all time. It got a little gushy there at the end, but, you know, when it comes to personal feelings towards games, like, I feel like you can have a little bit of gush and be okay with it. But yeah, guys, if you like this video, you can let me know down in the comment section if you want to see more top 10 video game system videos. I have a couple more in mind that I would love to do. Let me know if you'd like to see that. And as always, if you've gotten this far into the video and you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing, man? Subscribe! Hit that subscribe button! Hit that bell icon to be notified of future videos! Come on, man! Do it! We got a lot more stuff coming up! Hit those buttons! Hit those buttons! And if you want to help out even more, maybe consider leaving a like on the video, and maybe just following me on Twitter at the 8BitMadNES as well. Oh, and before I forget, don't forget we have a contest going on. If you want to be entered into winning a physical copy of a current modern video game of your choosing, click the link in the description below. It'll have all the details on how to sign up. Click that link. Win free stuff. We all win. Good things happens. Yes. But as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'll catch you next time. Later.